this dull spot out of this white one here. I told you I'd like to do that. People have asked me, can you do white? Can you do black? Can you do whatever? Let me explain something. The color of the material, the only role that it has to play in the material is how it interacts with the light, how much it shows stuff. That's it. Because all the color is in this material is simply a pigment. That's all it is. The aggregate is the same, the polymer is the same. The only difference is they add a pigment to it to change the color. So whether it's black, white, whatever, concrete, brown, tan, it doesn't matter. The polymer and the aggregate is typically the same. Now with that said, as I said before, the difference between a more consistent color where they want it to be like where you don't even see the aggregate, there's actually no alligator skin, nothing like that, then that has to do with where they reduce the amount of aggregate and increase the amount of polymer that is exposed to the surface. Thereby they get a more consistent color. But as far as color goes, virtually I haven't found that it actually makes a difference. So anyway, here's that white, I believe from Korea. It was brought to us from Australia. What I have here is we have a very slight haze right here, okay? And what I mean by slight is just you have to catch it in just the right light. And what that is just basically where the aggregate, once again, is not fully polished to meet the factory. Now the field where we worked is phenomenal. The factory side, these match. There's just a very slight distortion right through the center here. I'm going to go to this pad. You've seen us use it on that. You know it's an abrasive. You know it's a polish. So I'm just going to go ahead and just take that haze out of there and then just show you how clean this thing looks. Add a little bit of 8000 grit. Like I said, there's usually some experimentation involved when you haven't worked with a material before. I usually try the higher grits first and then work my way down until I get the desired results. And then we just kind of run from there. So a little bit of 8000 grit here, and then polish this puppy up. Okay, and here we go. Smooth this around just like we did before. And what I'm doing is I'm focusing. I'm going to focus just right on that zone. I'm not going to go over the whole thing. We don't want to do that. I'm simply going to work on the spot where I'm working here. And I'm actually kind of tipping the machine so it's just that much of the pad or so is interacting with the surface of the material. And you can step back and look at it. Yeah, I can see that it's actually starting to take it right out. Now, like I said, I've already worked with this and it reacts a lot like Caesar stone, so my procedures are going to be basically the same as I've done with the Caesar stone on this material. So I'm just now going to correct the polymer. I got that little bit of haze out of there now. It looks beautiful. And I'm just going to correct my polymer, get those little white marks that you're going to see in the surface of your polymer, and we're just going to go ahead and remove those right now. I need to add just a little bit more of this just to keep her going. So I'm just going to clean this up. That fog is now gone. It's absolutely pristine. Well, that's the basic process for engineered stone. Now, please remember that based on what manufacturer you're working on, you may end up having to use the higher grits. You may end up using a 3000, and you may have to get a 6000 if it's a very hard engineered material. Each manufacturer is different, their polymer is different, all of the materials are different. They're not all the same, and most importantly, they're not really stone. So remember, the process is we attack our aggregate, we set up our texture, then we bring in our finish. So once again, with some practice and due diligence, you too can polish like a pro.